Hello, everyone. It's Scott Cooper with Box 221 Digital Studios, and I'm here today with Dr. Ferenc Stefani, who is a chiropractor, a sports therapist, and running coach. He has myrunningdoctor.com. We've had him on as a guest before on our show, and I thought it'd be a good time to have Dr. Stefani on again and just ask him some questions regarding some things that we're all kind of facing right now. And as an ultra marathon runner, I know Ferenc has an exemplary mental attitude and processes, and we thought maybe he's got some things that he could share with us today. So, Ferenc, here's the number one question. You know, when we're talking about having an effective mental process when it comes to long distance or endurance sports, how do we use that those kind of skills in times of hardship like we're going through now?
Huge hardship. It's unprecedented, and I really just want everyone to know that everyone is going through a hard time and everyone deals with these things differently. So are we okay with that? That's just one of those cover statements. And we could bring that down one step further. Some people dealing with this well, and some people challenged more so. Has a lot to do with all different kinds of things. But when we want to take something from our previous life experience and bring it forward, one of the things that I am really excited about in how to live my life personally and then to help other people do well is that we have free will. And so let me flesh that out a little bit. You have the capacity and the ability to make choices. And these are not just choices of action, although that's a huge one. They're choices of how to think, and there are choices on how to feel. And I think a lot of us, me included, constantly revisit this, less so, hopefully, as I'm learning what works and what doesn't work. But a lot of us don't think we have a choice. We tend to work in life very much reactionary as things happen to us, and we then react and almost feel trapped by how we feel or how we think or how our body performs, right? So that's what I mean by free will. You have the ability as a human being, this is an amazing thing, to make choices around how you are going to process anything. And that journey for me has been very exciting because it opens up a whole new set of possibilities as you work through things in life. And this scenario that we're experiencing today, now over the last few weeks, coming into the next few months globally, has given everyone a chance to have a look at how they process. And so I guess that would be my first thought, that we all have a choice or free will about how we think, how we feel, and how we act.
It's interesting because isn't that really kind of the starting point of having an effective mental process, is understanding first and foremost that you do have a choice, that you have a choice in every second, every moment?
So much. And in a world that, in a sense, is very immediate and very reactionary because we've taken the time component out of it. So all our presentations, our experiences, including how you film a movie, how you do a commercial, whatever it is, where we're trying to influence people, it's so fast now And it's in such small little bits that there's no time to process. So we as a culture have moved away from the ability to actually process things. So we assume, because we're reacting constantly, that there is no way of controlling process, that there is no way of actually choosing how you're going to respond to something and not just react. So I want to maybe build on that a little bit. The way all I can do is go from what I've experienced and what I do when I'm out, and we're using ultra marathon mountain running potentially as a framework or as a paradigm to explain some of these things. It could be anything. It could be a relationship, could be a work situation, could be a health concern, could be anything, but that's what we're going to use, right? That's what you asked me about. So I want to just lay out a very simple schematic, and I'm going to draw it. Is that okay if I draw something here for you?
Totally.
And you can tell me if you can see this okay. It's right here. Can you see that? We're good.
Wow.
Okay, so it all starts with 4 things. And this is how I process the make a choice, free will idea. And the top one is, we'll call it the mind. Okay, so most people confuse the mind with the brain, and they somehow tie in emotions in there, and then their body reacts or does whatever it does or doesn't do, or if you yell at it enough, it'll kind of push through. But most people don't understand that the mind is where the intention begins, where the free will is, where the decision making actually occurs. All right, so then you have the mind, and then down here you have the brain, and that's all your thoughts. You have the emotions, it's all your feelings, and then over here you have the body, and that's your action. So you have the brain, you have the emotions, and you have the body. And these 3 are always acting together. They're always acting on each other. They're messaging. And then the link here, I'm trying to think the different, we'll just go with the same color. The link here is the key right in here, because the mind directs all of this. The mind actually gives us the capacity to separate ourselves out from this that we normally view as who we are.
Okay.
The mind allows us to look from a distance or third party at each one of these 3 things: our thoughts, our emotions, and our body, how it acts, how it reacts, and what it can perform for us. And so elite performers understand this scenario really clearly, these 4 things. Most people who are just reacting like pinballs in a machine in an arcade have no idea about this. They don't use this very much, and it's basically back and forth in the bottom rung. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Right? So
so what I'm hearing, sorry, on when you're saying the mind and the brain, so the brain is the thoughts, emotions, I understand, and body, I understand. So is the mind like another way of saying intention, or is there more?
Well, the mind has intention, but the mind, interestingly, in the understanding in psychology, in sociology, the idea of the mind is that it is an actual culmination of all the processes, all 39 trillion cells, plus all the memories, plus all the expectations, and your personality, and all these things. They can't be found in your brain. You can't go to the brain and pick out a cell and say, oh, here's the positive cell of Ferenc or of Scott or of Julie, right? There's no such thing. So that's why it's so little understood. But generally, the mind is who you are. And the brain and the body and the emotions are basically the manifestation of the mind.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So a lot of people confuse.
The mind is more like your inner self then, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And there's esoteric definitions of it in every direction, but I'm just telling you how I process this, okay?
No, I understand.
So,
I understand it for myself, and I get it.
yeah, so the mind, if you understand that you have a mind,
Mm-hmm.
and that your mind sets the intention or sets the tone or sets everything for everything, then you have a completely different framework to work through anything, work through challenge, to work through joy. If you don't understand that, then you very much feel victimized, you feel powerless, you feel vulnerable, and end up desperately reacting. And it's not a socioeconomic thing as much. It's not any of those things as much as it is an understanding. And if you've spent any time in self-reflection, this will start sounding pretty accurate, right? How many times have you done, let's say, emotionally bought something or done something? Okay, so let's say you want a sofa, and you see the sofa's on sale suddenly. So that's an emotional thing. Your brain picks up on that. You actually need a sofa anyways. You go, wow, I don't like my old sofa. And then the emotions go, yeah, really like the dark brown leather sofa, and they have one on sale. It's the coolest thing. So your brain starts making decisions around the emotions. So now your emotions become your guide, and your brain starts sourcing all the resources it can to make the emotions basically happen. And it takes your body takes your visa and takes it to the store, and you buy the sofa.
Yeah, so
then
you're emotionally rationalizing why you need the sofa.
Totally. And it can go either way. It can go this is a multi-directional integrated loop. So everybody affects everybody in here. Do you understand that?
I get it.
So you get home, and then you put the sofa in, and you sit there, and you go, wow, I love the sofa. And you realize, wow, that was pretty expensive. And this is actually a cost that I should have thought through a little bit, because, okay, I have the sofa. I don't feel that much better now the next day. And actually, because I spent $1,000 on that sofa, now I can't pay off my visa. So now we got a new emotion. Now we got regret, buyer's remorse, okay? And the brain starts going, wow, can we take the sofa back? It was on sale, final sale. Then that heightens your emotions. Your brain's trying to figure out ways of getting it back. And eventually you can convince or not convince your body to take the sofa back. That whole scenario was done without the mind. Because if you were using your mind, you would take the emotions as a gauge to what's going on, and the emotions say, we need a new sofa. And your mind goes, really? We need a new sofa? I didn't know that. And it'll go to the brain, say, brain, do we actually need a new sofa? And the brain's going, not really. The old sofa's great. Yeah, we could do a brown leather one, but we could always get one next year. There's a certain time of year they go on sale. The body's just quietly sitting here. He's not going anywhere because we haven't decided we're going to buy the sofa. The mind goes in, you know what? I don't think we're going to have the sofa. And the emotions go, oh, okay. So my emoting around the new sofa and the brown leathers is wasted time. The mind goes, yeah, I don't think we're going to focus on that at all. And in fact, instead, we're going to focus on this aspect of your life, this relationship with this activity, or maybe this material thing that you have that you really enjoy and that's amazing and that you actually own already. Now your mind has done that whole thing. Does that make sense? So now the second scenario, you've used your mind as a third-party processor for the sofa purchase. And in the first scenario, you pinballed your way through inappropriately and inadequately and weakly and vulnerably in through any portal that comes in. And your senses, you have 5 senses, like your eyes, your smell, your hearing, your touch, your feel, all those things, taste, those are all senses. And if you don't have mind intentionalizing around the senses, then the body's going to use all those senses to drive the emotions. The brain's going to fit in there beautifully, and you have a problem. Right? So, if we look at any scenario where you have a challenge, it's really important, basically, first of all, to know you have a choice in how to feel, how to think, and how to act. And once you get that, it's the coolest thing, because you can then make positive choices, effective, productive choices with all 3 to move you as a person forward. And not just to make you successful or accomplished. Ultimately, the goal is to get as good as you can be so that you can be effective in a team setting to bless other people. That's what you're called to. And so when I go through these processes in myself, when I'm out for a long run, I'll take information from my body. I will say, how do you feel? I'm not feeling that good. Why not? That's not my brain saying, why aren't you feeling good? My brain's going to go, I'm going to say, I don't feel good. Your brain goes, no kidding. We feel awful. You know, like that thing that you've got in your throat. And, you know, it's just, this is a sucky day, isn't it? Right? And your emotions go, it is. That's exactly what I was saying. And then your body's temperature starts to drop and it starts to stress. So there's stress hormones that get released. Your core temperature drops and then you get cold and you go, see, I told you, this is a really bad scenario. We are in big trouble. And emotions go, yeah. And so now you get this circle. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. And I've seen elite athletes suffer this little loop to the point where they started with incredible capacity, and 4 or 5 hours later, they're lying down in a fetal position, protecting their vital organs beside the trail. And all it was they had completely separated out this and had no concept that they were actually not forced to do this loop, right? But they could come back and go, hey, wait a second, what's going on here? What is going on here? And then you address, and so that's what I do all the time. I have my four team, this is the captain, and I've got my 4 head officers. And I go say, so body, what's up? Yeah, we got right foot, we got legs are feeling a little weak, and we've got breathing stuff. I don't know what that's about. And then I go, thank you. We'll get back to you in a minute. I go to emotions. What's up? And they go, you know what? I'm feeling pretty down right now. And then I will ask emotions, why are you feeling down right now? And I said, well, had an argument with my wife, and yeah, things aren't really going as well in the office as I would expect them to. And my kids haven't talked to me for a little while, and I'm really not sure how this is going to pan out. And my mind can go at that point and go, emotions, I think we're getting off track here. I think we need to actually, we're just running mountain right now. So can you tell me a little more about that? And you go, okay, well, that's not too bad. I'll feel pretty good. Okay, so we'll get back to you in a minute. Brain, how are things going? How's your thought process? What are you thinking about right now? Brain goes, I have no idea what I'm thinking about. I'm not paying attention to this. And then you see your mind goes, okay, well, let's organize this a little bit. Body will get to you in 5 minutes, so just keep moving. And the rest of us will follow. So you just keep moving. Emotions, settle down, right? I need you to smile for me and be positive. just for one little moment to reset things. And then we go to the brain and we ask the brain, so how much time do we have left? How much time have we done? Can you change something about the body for me? And the brain goes, yeah, you know what? I'm going to slow us down, bring us down to less effort. Heart rate will drop. Blood flow will basically pump in, and we'll get more support, which will feel really good. And the emotions going, yeah, I would like to feel good right now. So that makes me happy. And then I'm going, yeah, so then let's do that. Slow it down and reset. Are you guys good with that? And they all three say, yeah, we're good. And then the mind says, here we go.
Wow.
That's how you process that. And you know what? I do that every time, several times during a run. So when someone says, did you have how's your run? I never have a bad run. I can't have a bad run. I'm not allowed to have a bad run. Because if I did, then what's his name up here went on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys basically wrecked the entire apartment.
Right.
They did. And it could be anything. It could be any of them. Could be, the body just starts cramping and gets really hyped and everything just goes horrible. It could be the emotions, and we've all been in scenarios where our emotions take over. Mm-hmm. And you know what the emotions say this is cool. The emotions say, you know what? I just want to feel that way. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, you go ahead and do that. You can't just always control me. I need to cry right now. And the mind will go, okay, I get that. You need to cry, go cry. And once you're done, we'll talk and we'll chat. And as opposed to not understanding there's someone here and just being here. And then you literally feel awful. And that awfulness takes everything with it. It just drags it right down the street, grinding on the pavement, and wrecks everything. And there's a toxicity that comes with that, right? It's highly unproductive. It's totally isolating and unhelpful to the person beside you. And ultimately, if you want to live well, you want to love well, you want to have joy and have peace, these three can't be left alone. They just can't be left alone. It's okay, because you do have a mind and you do have a choice. You have a choice. And I mean, we're just scratching the surface here, but this is cool. Your mind and how your mind processes these three things. So I look at it in a sense of experience. So having something come into your mind or into yourself, then learning from that, and then acting. So there's an input, there's a learning, and there's an acting, and there's an actual intentional process that occurs. This picture for me allows me to do that.
It's so interesting you say that, because one of the things that comes to mind as you were talking through this, Ferenc, is this idea of internal dialogue, right? I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm just trying to think of how I was taught. And then I was taught like boys don't have emotions, and we're not supposed to have emotions, and those kind of things. And so when you have emotions, or when, or whatever, just to stick that in a box, or to, ignore it or whatever. And then it just rears up later on. And
100%.
But you're talking about an internal dialogue of like listening and validating your emotions, and listening and validating your mind and your body, and then using that internal dialogue to create an action plan that your mind at the end of the day wants to have happen. Right?
Right. And so when you think, if you were to, let's say, think of cruise ship, although that's kind of a challenging topic right now, but think of cruise ship and the captain of the cruise ship. The captain does not serve meals. The captain does not spend any time in the engine room sorting dials. The captain is not the guy who organizes the rescue equipment, cleans it, paints it. The captain is the one who gathers all the head people and says, this is what we're going to do to have an awesome cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing to manifest our awesome cruiseness?
Mm-hmm.
And at any given point, if the captain is a good captain, if the leader is a good leader, he or she will take information. It's vital to get information from every source in order to properly assess actually what's going on and then actually what's needed to guide the entire operation into a successful place of action, of impact, of influence. And so if you're thinking of yourself in that context, then there you have it. You have that ability now to make decisions effectively for those three aspects of your life. And so often when people hear this kind of stuff and they go, yeah, whatever. You know what? think I'm hungry. I need some chips. I'm going to go have some chips. No, I shouldn't have chips. That's not bad. It's not good for me. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to go have some chips. Do you understand a little dialogue? It takes effort and it takes time and it takes understanding to develop a team in yourself of your mind, your brain, your emotions, and your body working together.
Right.
That does not happen all at once. It
right.
may occur more easily for certain individuals, but that's based on what they've experienced from childhood on. That's based from the influences around them socially, culturally, economically, physically, spiritually. There's so many variables that play into that. But ultimately, it does take effort. So sometimes we just get tired. But that's the key thing. When that happens, it's a cue that something's not running well with the system, with the process. Let's rework that. And so a classic scenario in any challenge place is, I can't help it.
Right.
Right?
Well, it's interesting.
I just can't help it.
We're talking like an extremely unusual time that we're living in right now. I mean,
huge.
It's unusual. It's extremely unprecedented. I don't think people have really even I've never had an experience like this in my entire life.
No, there's nobody on the planet that's alive that has experienced this before.
Mm.
There's nobody. I haven't ever experienced it, or countries. Nobody on the planet has experienced this before. That's alive. Nobody's lived. Like the last time we had a big plague fly through the known world was before anybody now alive was alive.
Right.
So, but we're all humans. And so we all have a certain capacity. And interestingly, I see it among my friends now that we're unfortunately also social isolating when we should actually be physically isolating 3 meters or hold up for 2 weeks or whatever, but not socially isolating. It's really important that we socially connect because we need that feedback. We need that encouragement. We need to be able to impart to each other hope and joy and love and peace and so on. But that physical distancing has challenged a lot of people, and myself included, out of work. Like work has stopped. The people that I would normally spend time with, I can't spend time with. All the stores that are open have huge lineups with people standing together, which creeps me out anyways because none of them are 3 meters apart. yeah, even with my kids, my grown kids, I have lots of grown kids, and how they're processing that. So faced with overwhelming odds of not being able to control the scenario as it unfolds globally, the human being individually is stuck. Like, how do you cope with it? And it's really quite simple. That's the crazy thing. It's quite simple. Emotionally, yeah, there's going to be emotions. They're going to fire off. Great. Nothing bad about that. The challenge is when the emotions without the mind start creating this vortex. And they, interestingly, emotions are manifest with words and actions, and words are hugely powerful. So when we see those three aspects of our being, governed by our mind, but our emotions, our body, and our brain, what's very interesting is that you actually get a physical growth manifestation of how your mind is managing those three. And I'll explain what I mean. Every time you sleep, your brain is using messages, and in your body creates proteins, actually creates molecules of fabric, of function, that are either parts of your structure or parts of the system of the body. And based on the environment, the mental environment, not necessarily the brain, but the mind's environment, based on what that is, you will get certain proteins turned on or turned off. It's called epigenetics. So epi means above or over the genetic direction of DNA and how DNA expresses itself. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's really important, even in unborn children, that what the mother goes through in her process will dictate how that child experiences genetic manifestation.
Wow. Okay.
And so on a daily basis, this is a crazy awesome thing. And I'm going to get excited here, but that's because we can make a difference. Hello, for the rest of the world that says they can't make a difference, you can make a huge difference. This is the cool thing. Every time your mind directs that team to do well, good proteins are produced.
It's amazing.
And that builds on builds on builds on builds. The reverse is sadly true as well. It won't happen all at once. Both of those processes happen over time. But if your mind, by reaction, by abdication, by complete ignorance or naivety, because everybody has a mind, it's just some people's it is in idle or is basically in a dark room. If that process creates a negative thought process, a negative physical process, a negative emotional process, you actually get genes that are turned on for damaging proteins. And you also get the constructive proteins not produced.
Well, it's interesting because you're talking about, like, I know exactly what you mean, like on the negative side, because like there's been times where I've gone for a short run and I've already got in my head, oh, this is gonna be a short run today. I'm gonna, and I'm not even halfway through my run. I'm like, oh, this is a difficult run, or it's like, your mind and your emotions and your body are telling you something. When you're fully prepared and trained and everything is well, you should be able to handle that no problem. But I'm going to ask you, because like,
Sure.
I know you've got this Canadian death race coming. It's a 125-kilometer run over 3 mountain peaks. It's amazing run that you're doing, super ultra marathon run. What's some practical tips that you can tell people today that they can use with their mind so that they can do a better job of controlling their emotions and their body and their brain?
That's a really good question.
I know.
Yeah, I get that. I think it comes with understanding, number one, that you have choice,
Okay.
that you can decide to go on or not. All right? That's really important to learn that truth, to own that truth, to practice that truth. Do I have to feel angry right now? No. But you know what? I do feel angry right now because blah, 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 right? Do you have to feel angry? Well, of course I do, because no, you actually, if you understand the mind and the emotions, you understand that you're choosing to allow the emotions that expression. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you start practicing the idea that there is a separation, that there is distance from the mind and the other three, the team. Okay, so number one, understand that there is that beautiful, intricate, complex, timelessly unfathomable, something you'll be spending your entire life learning, a dance that occurs with the mind and those three team members. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is understanding that everybody's input is valuable. And in order to do this well, we need to pay attention, give voice to the messages coming from the team. Mm-hmm. And once the messages are received from the team, by the team, the mind can govern what to do about the team.
Right.
So your legs, body, are saying, really unhappy here. At that point, if you don't have the mind saying, we are going to finish this race, period. 125K, 200K, 50K, 5K, down the block, whatever it is, okay? I get it that your legs are feeling that way. Thank you for that information. We'll see what we can do to assuage that, but ultimately, we have to finish. Hang in there. Mm-hmm. So the self-talk, the messaging that comes from the mind is, I get it, I hear you, but we're not there yet. Let's finish this. And it's it's very similar to parenting. It's very similar to leading. As someone who's a leader or a parent, you see things globally or on a larger scale from a distance that the various components may not see. Mm-hmm. So their concerns may be real, but they may not be addressable immediately at that point. Right? So there's endless examples, but here's a really good one. So recently, some 62-year-old guy, amazing thing, won Guinness Book of Records for the longest plank. And I'm just taking this off the top of my head. I think it was 8 hours or something crazy like that. I don't know. Did you hear about that? Just punch in longest plank in Google, whatever. How do you plank for 8 hours? Right? Like, right. What do you think the body of the team was saying? You know what? I think we're done. I think this is just stupid. And then The body will talk to the brain and say, what do you think? Is this a smart idea? And the brain's going, no, this is not a good idea. And emotions are saying, you guys are all crazy. I want to get out of here. Do you get that?
Totally.
But his plan was what? To break the world record in the Guinness Book of Records for the longest plank.
Yeah.
So the point is then the mind goes, okay, guys, you know what? We are either in this or not in this. And he's trained that relationship so that those three team members respond to the mind. And the mind doesn't ignore them. The mind says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get a lot of music in here. We're going to get people to do planks with you. We're going to distract you in any possible way. But you are a winner. You are going to rock this. You are going to crush this challenge. Talking to your team.
Right.
And then the abs part of the body goes, okay, no, I'm good. I'm good. How do you feel? I'm good. Right. And the emotions going, oh, let's bring it. And the brain goes, you guys are a boss. And the mind goes, you know, we're almost done. We could get another hour and a half here. Let's hang on. That's a totally different thing than those three team members running around with their heads cut off, basically reacting constantly in a plethora of mistakes to accomplish nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's so interesting you're explaining the process of mental toughness.
Yes.
Right?
That's all. That's all. And so, you know, terms that are mentioned, often thrown around with people don't quite realize, mind control.
Mm-hmm.
Brainwashing, interesting thought, to protect your mind, to train your mind, to develop your mind, right? Strong-minded. That's the thought, that's the process, right? How do you do it? Well, you develop each one of those team members on their own, right? You do things that are good for the brain, that are positive for the brain. So the brain will choose to think positive thoughts, will choose to make choices along the portals. So whatever comes in will make an effect, right? You can't bring anything in and not have it affect you. People go, oh, you know, I can watch whatever I want. I can listen to whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I'm good. And the world goes, yeah, no, you go right ahead, right? And so it feeds that, but it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
The body's the same way.
I'm just thinking the word like mindfulness too. It's just another way of saying, you know, you're checking in on yourself and having this dialogue.
That's it. The challenge with a lot of the mindfulness is that they're, you know, the body of general pop mindfulness or soft cultural mindfulness doesn't have the infrastructure of the understanding of what's the point, right? Mindfulness often is confused with just listening to your body or paying attention or just taking a moment or being introspective or being reflective. Or do you understand? Where I love how you brought that mindfulness. Mindful is bringing those three team members on side.
Yeah, it's like having an internal conference for everybody, right?
Totally. And that's why it's so valuable. You know, I know that the collaborative process is so productive, right? Where you're bringing people with different expertise, different areas, you bring them into the discussion. They are able then to bring forth giftings, to bring forth capacity, to bring forth observation, perspective, that then the mind or the mastermind, which is another term used a lot, can coordinate those things, can create from that collaboration something that couldn't possibly be done in isolation. And so you'll have people, you know, back to our diagram, of the mind, the brain, the emotions, and the body. And you'll have people that are focused on one or the other, right? They'll be very emotional, or they're very physical, or they're very cerebral, right? And those are actual personality, temperament, design, gifting, genetic predispositions, 100%. Like there's a beautiful tapestry of people. But every single one of those individuals has a mind. And that mind then regulates what comes where, who puts out what, and the ultimate outcome of that experience for that person. And not only that person, ultimately, because we are in community and we are in family, in whatever way you define it, it affects everybody. And it's fascinating when you see a group that has coalesced around the understanding of it, then there's a lot of cohesion and they really work well together, whether they've defined it as such or not, whether they followed this paradigm or not, it doesn't matter. You can see groups that do well and groups that really don't do well at all. And a lot of it comes down to understanding, and just understanding that you actually have a choice. You actually have a choice.
It's so interesting because I know, like, for myself over the last couple of days, for sure, like just with all the stress and everything that I'm dealing with, and like I almost literally had a panic attack at the grocery store yesterday. It's just like
totally.
Too much. I had to walk outside for a few minutes, but
yeah, completely, I get that.
But I know, like, one of the things that I find most interesting about this conversation is that, because it really speaks to me too, and I thank you for blessing us with this today, Ferenc. But one of the things that gets to me is this: when I'm off-centered, I know I'm emotional, and then my emotions are controlling, and I'm reactive, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm reactive, or I'm stressed out. My body's telling me I'm stressed out. And then my brain's like, oh, you're stressed out and you're emotionally reactive, shutdown mode, right? So now we're not thinking proactively. We're not thinking creative. I'm not thinking proactively. I'm not thinking creatively. And then I'm either angry or emotional. I'm just reacting to situations. And then there's I get it. So when I'm off-centered, I'm doing that. So can you just kind of guide us through a little bit as to how do we find that center for ourselves? I know for myself, like personally, I need, I take some time to meditate and get myself back to where I'm realizing I'm the captain of my ship and I'm making that decision. And then I can start managing things better and get myself back on center. But is there different ways that a person can do that? Like, I know you do it through running to a degree, if I'm just kind of putting words in your mouth, but just give me some ideas, Ferenc, of what we can do is to get ourselves, I call it centering myself. So I realize, my mind is in control and I can do that. And I get that with we have that choice. And that's this huge part. I believe that's first step.
It is totally.
But how do we practically do that in our day-to-day lives?
Well, I don't want to oversimplify it, but you need sleep. And in our world, as we talked about in the very beginning, the immediate, constant buzzing of stimuli, most people are sleep deprived.
Well, are we sleep deprived because we're either super emotional, we're stressed out, like we're doing all these things so that we're becoming sleep, like it's hard to go to sleep at night?
Yeah, two things there that you've touched on, two things, and I mean this is another hallway with doors on it, all right? But very simply, people aren't sleeping well enough and they're not sleeping long enough. And so most people are entering the sleep mode where the body has to turn down. Even my phone does this. I have a feature on my phone. I didn't know this. I'm not a techie, so I didn't look for it. But it actually, I can decide what time of day it will change in its tone, in the sense of what it looks like. Like it goes to this kind of quieter, more yellowy, muted look.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was I thought I was battery down or something, and then because it was doing it at like, I don't know, 9 o'clock, and I realized that I could actually set it. So the phone itself is already going, and we don't sleep well enough because of the way we set the body and the mind, body, brain, and emotions, how we set the team up to rest.
Mm.
And when we don't set the team up to rest, it can't come into it well.
Right.
And if it doesn't start well, it drags on. So we can say, yeah, super stressed right now. I've got to write exams. Oh man, I've got this new job coming up, and that means I'm going to have to move cities, and I just don't know anybody there. I don't make friends easily. Man, I've got to get exposed to more people. Do you understand what just happened? Like, the mind, where was the mind? Was on a beach somewhere, while the rest of the team were, struggling in some vortex of dysfunction, right? So there's procedures, very simple procedures, breathing, prayer, meditation, any type of settling, dimmed lights, no lights, dimmed sound, no technical stuff, hour to 2 hours prior, all those features that you go, yeah, I know it, but I'm just going to check my phone before I go to sleep, and I'm going to watch the news. Wow, okay, you go do that, and good luck falling asleep. So sleeping well and sleeping long enough, that's a classic, right? If you use an alarm clock, you're not sleeping long enough. Well, that's ridiculous. No, you're not sleeping long enough. Well, I just, I need 7 hours. And besides, if I didn't have an alarm clock, I'd sleep till like 12. Okay, sure. Then you need to sleep till 12. Well, I can't. Okay. But then don't expect to be able to function well, because the team is not getting what it needs to do well. And it can do that for shorter periods, but it can't do it repeatedly, because there will be manifestations of that negative process, body, brain, or emotions, protein-wise. And then you get sick, or something else happens. And there's a host of different reasons. And not to oversimplify it, I'm not even going to go further with that, but does that make sense, right? So that's how the sleep issue is such a key thing. When I just say sleep, that's one of the first things. Sleep, eating well, minimizing high blood sugar, high blood glucose, carbohydrates, things that stimulate the brain inappropriately, things that stimulate the pancreas and insulin production inappropriately, things that stimulate adrenaline inappropriately, cortisol, stress hormones inappropriately, that drive that system. Yeah, that's a tough one. You'll be off center. And then having those 3 team members taken care of, right? Having positive emotional interactions, relationships, key thing, right? People in toxic relationships around toxic people who are toxic, whatever that is, that whole emotional, mental process just wrecks it. Body, stress your body out in a big way, even overtraining, inappropriate training, no training, over expectations, driving the body structurally or systems past what it's adapted to, you are going to have trouble, right? So returning back to the center, as you use that term, I call it team health. It's very clear. I just check each one of those team members. Where are we at? Who's got what? And then emotions go, really feeling heavy right now. And the team goes, what's going on? Well, this relationship just is really heavy on my heart. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling lonely. I'm all the things, right? And so how do we do it? How do we fix it? How do we help that team member to manage well? It might mean time away. It might mean redirection of resources. It might mean a temporary alteration of activity, any number of things, but that's all mind directed. Do you understand? That's not the emotion. You're like, I need a break. Because if I need a break comes in, then you end up with abuse, substance abuse, relational abuse, you know, addictions. All those things are strictly your emotions saying, I need a break, and no mind influence at all.
It's interesting the way that you're talking about this, because like right now we're all like, one of the big things about this whole situation is that, you know, we're all off our rhythms, right? So
Totally.
And when I'm off my rhythm, then I feel like I'm off my center, and then you know, all these other things start to come into play. And I'm just thinking about that, like this is now more of a primary thing to be dealing with right now, that, you know, you're the captain of the ship and there's a storm going on. So the captain needs to be in there, not listening, you know, not listening to the lounge director, right?
Yes. And so at that point, the captain's not going to stand there on the bridge or in their bedroom with their hands on their head and their face down on the table weeping. Like, help me with that picture.
Right.
We need somebody else to step in here pretty quick here, because we are in dire straits. We need someone, and that's what makes a captain. Nobody's born a captain, right? They don't come out of high school and say, you know what, I think I'm a captain. And then some Marine outfit hires them out of high school as captains. They got this young captain. He's 17 years old. That just doesn't happen. You know what he does or she does? They become deckhands. Wow. Okay. Yeah. You know, and paint this. Oh, you can't paint this. You've got to strip off all that old paint that's been painted 10 times already. And then we need that sanded down, sandblasted, and then paint.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm a captain. No, you're actually not a captain. You're going to do this for another 2 or 3 years, and then we might take you to school, train you, put you out at sea, have you come back in and do that for maybe a decade, and then you might be a captain, a young captain working under an older captain. Did you get that picture? It's a process. It's a learning process that occurs. So it doesn't just come out. But the captain at that point, you know, when there is a storm, after that process goes, you know what? Bring it. Let's get everybody going. I will be the last one standing. And the reason they say the captain goes down with their ship is because they are the last one standing, the last one to make a decision, the last one to step in, the last one to be asked, what do we do? This is what we're going to do. Well, that's no good anymore. Okay, well then this is what we're going to do. It's a tough thing, eh? Like it just, and so we each are a captain. It's the coolest thing, right? And that's, I think, called maturity. That's called growing up. When young people who are not captains, don't know they're captains, might pretend they're captains, whatever it is, we were all there. We come out to the point where we've experienced some stuff, we've made some big mistakes, we've hurt some big hurts, we've hurt others in a big way. We've experienced the ramifications of those things. And when we take all that together and we understand, wow, okay, what do I do with that? To understand that you have a choice is really important, because captains are constantly making decisions. Right? They are the ones making the decisions. So we have to make a decision in this time of need, this time of challenge. It's not our job to solve the problem, right? There are individuals who are part of the team that are solving the problem. God bless them. I'm just so impressed. I really am. I didn't know we had this faculty in our society, in our culture, of good people bringing it, digging deep, and going where they need to go to get the job done, right? In the face of challenge. So inspiring on so many levels. I have so many friends of mine who are younger friends who are nurses and doctors, on the front lines, in ER, in COVID wards, where they're making life decisions right now, how they best can protect themselves so they can best serve these individuals, where the front of the whole process is occurring, right? And so I'm very impressed with that. But it ultimately comes down, interestingly, the ones that understand that they are in actual control of how they're going to process whatever information is, how they're going to feel about the information, and what they're going to do physically about the information. You can see the ones that are going to do well, and already the ones that are not doing well, right? And that need more support and need, encouragement and direction. So yeah, it's amazing time. It's amazing time. And, the whole running thing seems so inane at this point. I was up in the mountain this morning, going for a long run, and just so thankful. In the middle of nowhere, there was no footprints, which is a kind of a cool place to be in our society, in our community, because I knew it was a safe place, right? Mm-hmm. And I just realized that with all the blessing, with so much favor that we have, I think the biggest favor we have, the biggest blessing we have, is that we can make a choice. That we actually get to make a choice with the team. And whether that's you personally with your team, with your emotions, with your body, with your brain, and by extrapolation with the community that you're with, the team, build the team, use this time to build the team, to learn how the team works, to grow the team, and to build the team, use the team to build the world around you. That's such an amazing thing. It's just so cool. And everyone can do it.
I love what you said earlier, Ferenc, about that it's a learning process. So we're all in this to learn. Like, you're not the best captain of the ship. You're always learning, right?
No, always.
There's a part of that too, which is interesting, because of, when you, as a captain, somebody else makes a decision, or like within yourself, right? And then you're living with that regret from that decision, that the captain can then get back in there and help a person get through that. I'm just thinking of this as I'm talking about it, and I just find it really fascinating about how you can change a lot of your own perspectives on things just by...
Yeah. See, good leaders don't judge. They evaluate. And if you do it well, there's a big difference in how you approach what you do, what you think, what you feel, between judging that and evaluating it.
Right.
See, when you see a good team work together, doesn't matter who makes the mistake, doesn't matter what the mistake is, there's no judgment.
Right. What can we learn from this?
There's just evaluation.
Exactly.
Right? What happened? What can we learn? What have we learned? And how we're going to act. Boom. And the moment there's you are a moron, how could you possibly, in a wildest lifetime, come up with that mistake? All right? Have you said that to yourself at some point? I have. Like,
for sure.
Oh, Lord, help me. Right? But that's judgment. God says, judge not, lest you be judged. Like, the point of judgment is highly inappropriate. It's out of place. And we're so quick to do it, right? And when the emotions in the brain and the body are left on their own, there's a lot of judgment going on. But that's what the leader's job is, to say, wait, okay, everybody just be quiet for a moment. Just shut up. Okay, this is where we're at. These are the resources we have available. And this is where we have to go. Are you in? And then your emotions say, yeah, okay, I'm in. And your body goes, yeah, I'm in. And your brain goes, yeah, I'm in. Now we can go. You see? So when next time you come across something that you've done, here's one, somebody else has done, something makes you feel a certain way, no judgment, just evaluate, assess it. Well, that's crazy. Like, how could you that's impossible. We're human beings. We just, right? Yeah, okay, sure. You're right. But the trained ones, the ones who've taken life and grasped it well, have done a lot of work, have put a lot of effort and resource and time into understanding the mind and the team.
Yeah.
And that's gold, right? Do you understand how that's gold? How that is so, so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I was running today, and sometimes I will go into mantras, right? And you know what a mantra is? A mantra is where you repeat something over and over again. You go, well, how does that fit? Okay, so the mind says, you know what? Brain, I need you to focus on some stuff for me. And the brain goes, okay, what are we gonna think about? What are we gonna talk about? And the mind says, well, I want us to work on some gratitude, because I know, scientifically speaking, says the mind, that gratitude causes some serious positive growth in the epigenetic world. It does. We can measure it. Like, we literally can measure brain activity and brain production of neurochemicals with gratitude, the idea of gratitude. Okay? Do you understand that? So that's brain. So brain says, you know what? I want you just to repeat, thank you, Lord, for this moment. Just do that. I don't know. Don't even count. Just do it until I tell you to stop. So I'm going, okay. Thank you, Lord, for this moment. Thank you, Lord, for this moment. Thank you, Lord, for this moment. In through a snowy kind of ravine where I thank you, Lord, for this moment. A big, big hill, but was me a few days ago, had put in some footsteps that I could follow. Thank you, Lord, for this moment. Came over the ridge, and this big just goes boom out in front of me. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this moment. Do you see what happened? Do you see how emotions just settle down to the rhythm, right? Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this moment, right? And God just speaks into that. Says, now I like that team right there. That team right there, that bunch of people, that body there going up and down, that stuff on one of my ridges, and the emotions just humming along in the brain, repeating those beautiful, beautiful truths. Well done, mind. Well done. There it is. Right? So that's just an example of taking certain moments and reformatting them, resetting them. But does it take effort? Yeah, for sure. Does it take a little bit of understanding? It's not that complicated. You know, every kid should learn this, like, you know, early on. Seriously. I don't know what is taught in the psychological world, but that key thing, that they have a choice, that they can make a choice, not they can be an astronaut, whatever, but that they can make a choice every moment in how they feel, how they think, how they act. It's key. It's key. because that's how elites create crazy things and do amazing things. And we're seeing that a lot of people doing really well right now in a crunch, in the squeeze, where people are making some good decisions and being good leaders and digging deep in their own lives to accomplish not even just survival, but actually forward. This whole thing's going to shake out in a completely different picture. And yeah, one never would wish this on anyone. One wouldn't be thankful for the hardships that are coming with this for so many people, more for some than others, but for everyone there's something. But there are good things here. There are good things to be had. So hopefully that was helpful, Scott. Hopefully that gave you just, a little bit of a process of what's happening in my process, how we do things.
No, and I love it. I think it's, I could ask you 100 more questions on it. We could spend the entire—
I could ask 100 more questions on it.
the entire afternoon talking about this. It's just brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I know, like, you've been challenged a bit too with, like, with business closing down. What are you doing right now with your clients? What are you able to offer at this point?
Yeah, so the important thing that we all have to understand right now is the physical distancing, right? The separating out 3 meters apart as much as possible, staying out of any context where you would be near someone or be touching something that someone else touched that may spread the virus. And we know that without a shadow of a doubt, that's vital for us to manage how bad this is going to get. And it's not bad yet, but it's moving in that direction. So we've closed the practice. The practice is now closed. I'm not sure how long. We'll probably take it in 2-week increments, I guess. It's hard to know. The projections change all the time, and people really don't know. However, the beauty of modern day is that we have consults. So we do consults via video when people have issues, challenges, physical questions, needing direction. I can help them hugely that way. We also do running form analysis video, and we've set up a way of having people film themselves, and then we do an actual analysis of how they run or how they walk, and give them some guidance that way. So those are 2 really powerful ways that we can still serve. And if there is an emergency where people have extreme neuromuscular or musculoskeletal pain and trauma, then we do by case basis create a clinical environment where we can help them.
Right. So if someone's gone through like a car accident or an accident.
Yeah, for sure. So no one's left without resource. It's just that the obvious resource methodology that was up till now is temporarily not there. So really unfortunate. I miss it. I miss my patients. I miss the opportunity to work with people directly. I know a lot of people are just missing hugs, right? A lot of people find this whole physical distancing and the fear that goes along with being ill or having other people ill or having especially seniors in your life who are at risk. Very difficult, very difficult. And my heart goes out to everyone. We're all feeling the same thing. There's nothing wrong with feeling it, right? We talked about that. Nothing wrong with feeling it. It gets its moment of expression, and then we move forward. And
yeah, I know even our team is like, we're all feeling it too. Like, with Mike and John, and they worked on your video.
Yeah, they did a great job, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah. But I mean, we're all feeling it too. Like it's an interesting, we're in the digital space, so we can easily like, we'll just set up conferences and things like that. But because the fact that we work on our computers so much, sometimes I think we you know, we desire that social interaction more so than, you know, like, I don't have a problem doing a call like this with you. I think it's totally cool, but at some point, you know, you do want to like,
oh, it's not the same. No, it's not the same. And fascinatingly, now that people are in a very directed, general way forbidden to spend time with the general people, everybody wants to spend time together. It's a beautiful reset. Like, you know, when you're going for walks or something and people call to you from across the street when you go by them, hello, and when normally everybody's insular, right? So yeah, it's fascinating. I've been noticing that a great deal. There's a whole bunch of changes that occur. So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
anyways,
thank you so much for your time. If anybody has been helped today, it's been me. It really helped me to
I'm glad.
my shit.
You know what? This is a process, as we started with. It's a process of growth. My big encouragement is just to be gentle with yourself, right? Be gentle with the team. Allow the team to develop. Allow the team to grow. There's one thing that I've learned from this whole, 5 decades or whatever. It's a short time in the grand scheme of things in many people's lives, but is that I haven't been as gentle as I need to be with myself, and haven't allowed myself to learn some of these things and to appropriate some of these things into my life. And what's amazing is that if you do, other people will be encouraged and blessed by it. That's the beauty of that. So yeah, thanks, Scott. Thanks for giving me the opportunity, and we will touch base again soon.
I think it's really interesting you say that, you know, being gentle with yourself, and then you're the guy that's running 125K.
I'm going to do it gently.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That is a good point. I know you were trying to trap me, but I got you.
No, I wasn't trying to trap you at all. It's just like, it's just
I
like
know.
an interesting statement to say it that way. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much
for
your time today, Ferenc.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a great day.
If people want to get a hold of you, they've got some, you know, they just want to talk to you about that. Is that okay? About what we talked about?
Absolutely. We love comments. We love questions. I get them all the time. These kind of things we're working through. We're all learning, right? And the more dialogue there is about these things, the more growth there can be for the larger team. And all of you are affecting someone. All of us impact someone somewhere on a daily basis. And so, yeah, just a really, really neat thing. And there's no age limit on this. That's the beauty of this. No one retires from this. Like, help me with that. You know, like our journey is just until God says we're done, and then we're out of here. So up to that point, there is a development of these beautiful tenets that are just, they're just crazy awesome. Almost as nice as my run this morning. So
thank you for breaking this down in such a simple and easy way for people to understand. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. And, you know, just on a note, none of this stuff I've come up with by myself, or this is all things I have learned from other people, right? These are all things that we as the global team have journeyed together through. And so there's some key people in my life, mentors. A lot of them don't even know they're mentors for me. But there's some key people that have brought these things as they have had them revealed into their lives. And so be a learner. Just draw in every chance you get. And you'll come to a personal understanding of how to apply those things. And it's really something that someone can help you with, but nobody can take over. Like, no one can take control of that for each of us. We are literally on deck for how we think, how we feel, and how we act. So.
Okay, I'll put some links in here for everyone so they can reach you below on your website, your email address, and your social media. And
Yeah, perfect.
if you get a chance to follow Ferenc on Instagram, he is amazing on Instagram. His thoughts of the day, inspirations are they really help. So
Yeah, hopefully.
you're doing them. I'm a big Instagram fan of you. So
Good.
just keep doing what you're doing. So thanks, Ferenc.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day.
You take care.
All right.
Bye now.